So now that Maul Shadow Lord has officially wrapped up, here's my full review of the series. Now, when this show was announced last year at Star Wars Celebration, I was intrigued. I was intrigued to see what this show was gonna do with Maul, because obviously, with the last time we saw Maul in the Star Wars world was at the end of Clone Wars season 7. We didn't know where he went, and obviously, there's a lot of time between his last appearance in Clone Wars and his first appearance in Rebels. So there's a big gap. To I think there's like a 14-15 year gap to show what Maul has been doing. And obviously, if you saw Solo, you know that he at some point during some point in that time, he becomes the head of a crime syndicate known as Crimson Dawn. Now, that is all I knew pretty much about Maul post in between this whole time. But when this show was announced, I was like, okay, I'm excited. I love Maul. I think he's such an interesting character. And this show absolutely delivered on showing Maul really just have a taste, really just want revenge. He still has that vengeance that he had in Clone Wars and how he just wants to kill Darth Sidious. And he really has a disdain for the Empire. I also really enjoyed his voice actor, Sam Witwer. He absolutely embodies Maul. You can tell that he loves playing Maul. He loves voicing him, and he puts so much depth and richness into Maul's voice and like Maul's mannerisms. I think this is definitely one of his best things he's ever done as Maul, and I'm very excited to see how season 2 is gonna continue exploring that. Now, onto the obviously like supporting cast, we have returning characters like Rick Cast, who unfortunately died in the season finale to Darth Vader, who we will get to soon. But we had the introductions of two new surviving Jedi, that being Devin and Daki. Devin is the one that Maul wants to be his apprentice, and I'm always a sucker for the Star Wars canon introducing us to new Jedi survivors that survived Order 66. I would have liked to see like where these two were specifically when Order 66 happened, because if I'm not mistaken, I think this show picks up maybe 3 or 4 years out, like anywhere between 2 to 4 years after the ending of Clone Wars. So I think it would have been nice to see like where these two were specifically, where in the galaxy they were when Order 66 happened. But again, like I said, I'm always a sucker to see. I always love seeing new surviving Jedi and see where their stories could go in a Empire leading world. And they were just really cool additional characters. Vario also, he was also a new character that was introduced as far as I'm aware. He was also a really funny character. I really enjoyed Vario's character, how he was just so scared of Maul, he was willing to do whatever it took to survive, like working with him. And I just think that was just really, really cool. He was definitely the comic relief of the whole season, followed by my boy Spybot. I did not think I was gonna love a droid as much as I did with Spybot. Rest in peace, Spybot. I was very sad when Spybot was sliced in half by the Inquisitors. And on to our other three main side characters that were introduced. We had Riley, Two Boots, and Lawson. Lawson, I thought that he was going to be like a main antagonist for this show, but he was not. The moment we're first introduced to him, you could tell that he's a good guy. Like he doesn't like the Empire, but he does what he can to have a good supporting life for his son, and even though his ex-wife who is working for the Empire. I think that was such an interesting thing. I think that was such an interesting character. Lawson, he sacrificed himself to save his son. I think it was I definitely think that Lawson was a good introductory character to this show, and I'm gonna miss his character. Me personally, I am gonna miss his presence on the show. And Two Boots, he was very annoying in the first half of the season, but I did like how he redeemed himself and was like, okay, I'm gonna fight for the Lawsons. I'm gonna fight for them. And assuming we get to see Two Boots and Riley in season 2, I don't know if we will. I think it would be interesting to see how Two Boots and Riley are gonna now, if they're going to work with Maul or anything, because we really don't know what they're going to do now with those two characters. Now onto our villains, that being the Inquisitors, and by reveal in the season finale, Darth Vader. Seeing Maul fight the Inquisitors, fight Darth Vader, the people who work for Sidious, I think it was such an awesome thing, and I love that line in episode 9, where towards the end of episode 9, where Maul was fighting the Merrick, I believe, and he was basically saying, "You are nothing but a pawn to Darth Sidious, as I was." You could just tell that Maul sees that they are just underlings for Sidious, and that when the time comes, Sidious will toss them aside like he tossed Maul aside, which is something that Maul absolutely hates. And I also really loved how we got to see a little flashback as to how Sidious found Maul and how he led him to leave Savage. And I think that was such an interesting thing. The fight between Maul and Vader was just so good. I think we all had a feeling that Vader was going to be in the show with the inclusion of the Inquisitors, but I didn't know if we were going to really get him in a fight. And seeing Vader on my screen was just so good. Obviously, I had a feeling he wasn't going to speak because his voice actor James Earl Jones passed away a couple years ago. So I am intrigued to see how they're going to handle Vader in animation stuff. If they choose to bring Vader back for more stuff in the animation world, I would not be shocked if we will see him in his, like, if he just won't talk, because this episode he felt like such a Terminator, and I just really loved that. I love that we did not hear him speak at all, and we just heard his voice, like his breathing. I think that was just such an iconic thing. This is definitely one of my favorite things that Vader has been in recent times, even though this is probably the most recent thing he's been in. Now, onto the animation of this show. I only have one thing to say about it, in that it was incredible. From the lightsaber duels to just the way the characters look, the animation was just on another level with this show. And again, like with the look of Janix, the way that Janix looked, it looked like a painting in certain scenes. I just thought was just so beautiful. Like just the way that Janix looks and feels and how the animation of all the characters are, I think this is definitely like one of the best things of animation that Lucasfilm has ever done. And I'm very excited to see if they're gonna continue this animation with Maul season 2. But I am also intrigued to see what they're going to do with future Star Wars shows, because obviously they're going to make future Star Wars shows, animated shows. So I am intrigued to see how they're going to keep on developing, keep on evolving the animation style to this incredible world. Now, on to my final thoughts. On the screen right now, you can see my overall ranking of this season as a whole. And this show was just such an incredible series. I like this, like, for Dave Filoni's first show under his banner as the new as the new co-CEO of Lucasfilm. I think he did incredible. Obviously, I know this show was in development before he became CEO, but you guys get what I mean. Like and this is already a good. Star Wars is now in a good place with anime. It's always been on a good place with animation, but if they start hitting well with the films again, with The Mandalorian and Grogu coming out in just a couple weeks, like Star Wars might be getting the fan base back on their side. Because me personally, I've always been an optimist, and I've never been like a diehard Star Wars fan. Like I've only watched the shows, I only watch the movies. I don't know, I don't go deep into the lore of all this stuff. But overall, this show was just such an amazing thing. Let me know down in the comments what you thought of this show, and if you are excited for Maul Shadow Lord Season 2, hit subscribe and hit the bell icon so you will not miss my trailer reactions, reviews for when this show, whatever the show Season 2 releases. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'm Josh from Ray's Reviews. May the 4th be with you all, and I will see you all next time. Bye-bye.